Sheriff's Department and community college officials in Pima County are refusing to release a wide range of public documents about the man charged in Saturday's shooting rampage that left 6 dead and more than a dozen wounded. The Pima County Sheriff's Department, that's Clarence Dubnyk, and Pima County Community College have declined to release documents that could shed light on run-ins they had with 22-year-old Jared Loeffner in the the months prior to the shooting. The Arizona Public Records Law requires that records be open to inspection by any person at all times unless officials can prove releasing the information would violate rights of privacy or confidentiality or otherwise harm the best interests of the state. The Arizona Republic requested those records, including incident reports on campus and calls for dispatch of deputies to Loeffner's home, be released under the law. Such reports are often released as a matter of course in criminal cases. College officials have not indicated when or if they will release the information, saying that they want prior approval from the FBI, and they're concerned about violating federal laws protecting the privacy of student information. On Monday, the Arizona Republic requested copies of any reports from the Pima County Sheriff's Department involving contacts with Loeffner or calls to his house. The Pima County Deputy Renee Carlson said her office would not release the reports without a specific date, though that's not required by state statute. Carlson said providing these documents would be tantamount to releasing criminal history. Carlson said she couldn't speculate on the nature of any calls for service regarding Loeffner. She also said no calls or incidents involved threats by Loeffner. The Republic also requested the names of the people wounded in Saturday's shooting. The Sheriff's Department's not released any names, although names of several victims have emerged in media reports. The Sheriff's Department did not provide a reason for withholding the list. So I wonder, when the president called Sheriff Dubnyk to congratulate him, if he congratulated him on his transparency and his responsibilities to the public. He called him up and said, "Hey, Dubnyk, hell of a job, babe." Back to the phones. Terry, Alaska. Nice to have you on the EIB network. Hello.
Thanks, Rush, and happy birthday.
Thank you very much.
It's so great to be able to talk to you on your birthday. That's pretty cool. I just wanted to make a quick point here that these are the same people that have been telling us for years that you were nothing more than an entertainer and that you were not to be taken seriously and that you're just this, they kind of downplay you and discount you, and it's really insulting my intelligence here, this whole thing. Because on one hand, now we're supposed to think, it's so inflammatory what they're doing here. And then, wasn't that long ago that, I watch, different things on TV and laugh you off as if you were nothing to be taken seriously, and this was just your money-making gig that doesn't mean anything.
Right. Just an entertainer, not to be taken seriously. You're exactly right. It's amazing how that's a fluid description that changes from issue to issue based on how the media seeks to have me portrayed.
Yeah, they're truly insulting our intelligence here.
Well, they are. This is really, they are in the minority here as far as election results. Polls indicate they are in the minority. And in the process, they're like, you feel insulted. Everybody who listens to the program feels insulted. Everybody who watches Fox News feels insulted. Doesn't stop them. They continue with this whole diatribe. Sheriff Dubnyk appeared on MSNBC with Chris Matthews last night. Chris Matthews played sound bites of me trying to rile up the sheriff. We have some of the examples of this. This is before the interview with the sheriff. Matthews played this soundbite from this program yesterday. Sheriff Clarence Dubnyk is on the path here of attempting now to expressly, personally associate me with this event. We have a law enforcement officer, the sheriff of that county, admitting he's got no facts for what he's speculating about. I don't know, maybe Pima County would have been better served by a real sheriff. One who spent his time trying to lock up nutbags and criminals rather than finding ways to excuse them. He hasn't pointed out a single thing that I have said that would inspire such a heinous act. So Matthews then says to the sheriff, looks like you got old El Rushbo riled up here, Sheriff. Let me ask you about what do you make of that? Did you know you would open up a hornet's nest from right radio? What do you make of it? Do you think there's a connection between the atmospherics, the hatred of government you hear every day on the radio, the hatred of Obama you hear on the right wing, the language you hear all the time, that they're evil, they're taking over the country with socialism, et cetera, et cetera? Do you think that had anything whatever to do with this person's behavior in this tragedy? What a setup. What a lead-in question. All the hatred for Obama. No, Chris. I know.
This is just, it's despicable. It's called love. Chris, you're better than this. This is the thing. What a descent you have made from the days I first met this guy. You know, it was Chris Matthews when Bill Clinton told the racist joke about me at the White House Correspondents' Dinner, who came up to me when it was over and said, "You're not the Rush Limbaugh I know if you let that stand. You can't let the President of the United States," he was really animated. "You can't let the President of the United States call you a racist. You can't do this. That's beyond that's outrageous." To hornet's nest, atmospherics, hatred of government that you hear every day, hatred of government, love of country, Chris. Anyway, you heard the setup. Here is Sheriff Clarence Dubnyk.
There's no doubt in my mind, particularly troubled personalities, which is what we're dealing with here, are very vulnerable to the emotion that comes out, especially anger, hate, paranoia, and so forth. You talk about crosshairs on Gabby Giffords. Well, I want to tell you that her opponent, who was heartily endorsed very vocally by Sarah Palin, had an event, a fundraising event, where the people were invited, I think, to a barbecue or something. After the barbecue, if they wanted to, they could each come up and fire an automatic rifle, a semi-automatic rifle. And the same individual had hundreds of campaign ads starting out by saying, "Are you as mad at Washington? Boy, I want to tell you, I sure am."
Sheriff, so wait a minute, you were asked about me. What do you keep bringing Sarah Palin into this for? I'm going to start getting a complex here. Matthews set him up to talk about me, and Dubnyk started talking about Sarah Palin again. Are you mad at Washington? Sheriff, what is the difference in people's anger at Washington and your anger at talk radio people? Why is your anger justified, Sheriff, even though it is baseless, when people's anger at government makes total sense based on what they believe and what they see this government doing to the economy of this country? Why is your hatred always justified, Sheriff? Whatever you have animosity for. You know, do you know that Sheriff Joe Arpaio was lynched and decapitated? A doll or whatever do you call it? Effigy. Joe Arpaio was decapitated in Pima County. And Sheriff Dubnyk didn't say anything about that. Sarah Palin has been hung in effigy in West Hollywood on Halloween. I don't remember anybody worried about whatever violence that might cause. Dubnyk, in fact, Sheriff, it sounds to me like you're trying to whip up some deranged people into some action here. Sheriff, it doesn't sound to me like you're doing much to calm people down. Sounds to me like you're doing a damn good job of really revving people up, Sheriff, as I listen to these sound bites of yours. Well, as you heard, Clarence didn't take the bait. Obama, or Matthews, I'm sorry, wanted him to talk about me and the evil of government and taking over the country, hornet's nest of right-wing radio, and the sheriff did a 180 back to Sarah Palin. So Matthews played another soundbite of me. Try to get the sheriff to stay on topic. And this is the bite talking about Mark Penn on Matthews' own show. Powerful Democrats wished for this. It happened on Chris Matthews' show. Powerful Democrats wished for this as a means of an opportunity for the president to shore up his sagging base, poll numbers, or what have you. Voila! In 2 months' time, we have a nutcase opening fire in Tucson, Arizona, and lo and behold, leading Democrats are conducting strategy sessions with the president on how he can use the right words to maximize this event. You don't want to lay this on me or Palin when we have nothing to do with it, yet leading Democrats actually hoped for this. Interesting conspiracy theory, isn't it? So Matthews then said this about me and my remarks that Democrats hoped for an event like this in Tucson.
If you're a conspiratorial nut, I guess so. Mark Penn, who is a centrist, not a man of the left by any stretch of the imagination, was on this program not talking about how the left can settle scores with the right after a tragedy, but how if anything like that were to happen, how the president could be a peacemaker, how he could be a man of the center, like Clinton was after Oklahoma City. Not how the left could get even with the right or could exploit it to hurt the right, but how to calm things down. It was a totally different proposal. In fact, it wasn't even a proposal. It was a statement of what might happen if it did happen. It wasn't a conspiracy plan like Rushbo is alleging for his full mooners out there.
Hey, Chris, come on, man. We all heard what Mark Penn said. He was talking about how Obama needed an event like that for the opportunity to reconnect with the American people. He didn't sing about centrism. He was hoping for another, and he cited the event, Oklahoma City. That event helped Clinton. And don't forget, Chris, your 9/11 happened and lamented that this didn't happen when Clinton was president, that this doofus Bush benefits from 9/11 by having an opportunity at greatness here. So, Chris, we heard what Penn said, but we couple that with knowing how you people on the left think. And we are validated because the event has happened, and you guys cannot restrain yourselves. Your focus on this event is the right wing. Your focus on this shooting for 4 days has been on how right-wingers are responsible for this. And you're doing everything you can to create mindsets with your full mooners into believing that that's actually what made this happen. And he brings old Clarence back into the conversation to get Clarence's take on this, and Clarence denounces the nut people in radio.
I would ask the question, which political party is benefiting from anger at the government?
Well, I suppose the Republican Party this year, right. So therefore...
And therefore I anticipate that the nut people in the radio, some of the nut people, I should say, in the radio business and the TV business are going to continue to inflame the public with hatred until after 2012.
Now this... In order to believe this, you have to believe that those of you who voted Republican did so because you were made to hate government by us. That you weren't smart enough to realize that they rammed a health care law down your throat that you told them you didn't want. That you didn't want all this spending. You didn't want all of this indebtedness. You didn't want all this generational theft. You didn't want the government owning car companies. You didn't want the government printing money. You didn't want all of this economic destruction. You didn't want the stimulus bill. No, even though you didn't want all, you were totally prepared to pull a lever for Democrats again until I came along, until nut people on the radio came along. Well, political party benefiting from anger at the government? It's Mars Venus, you'd have to say.